group is gonna represent this neonicotinoid regulation, and we are gonna primarily focus on the imidacloprid and on bees. And our groups contain of Venja and Sabrina and Alexandra and me. So, a little introduction to neonicotinoids. They are the most used pesticide worldwide, and more than 30% of all pesticide use is of this family. Neonicotinoid is synthetically made. It's a kind of a family of chemicals. Well, we had the first approved for commercial use in the early 1980s, which was the imidacloprid. Yeah, and they are very, very water soluble, and they move around in the soil, which also have the effect that it can go to the groundwater and contaminate there. And it can be taken up from the grown plant, from the leaf, and it can be taken from the roots. And the structure of this chemical is really, really related to the natural structure of nicotine, which also applies the name, that is found naturally in tobacco leaves. And if we look at some chemical properties for these chemicals, we can see here we have the different groups of neonicotinoids. And we have the octanol water production coefficient here. And this is a scale that goes from -2 to 12. And because the number is kind of low, they are very, very soluble in water, meaning that the plants take them up really easy. So the neonicotinoid work in the way they are kind of designed to attack insects, because they go in and they disrupt the neural transmission in the central nervous system, and all animals have this receptor that they work on. It has that name, and but they are different in every animal group, and this is the reason why they could kind of engineer it so it will be most harmful to insects, for example. And yeah, even that you apply an okay concentration, like it can also, when the lethal concentration get more, the lethal concentration decreases as the exposure to an organism increases. Yeah, and as I said before, we are primarily focused on imidacloprids, and now I'm going to talk a little bit about that. It is the most widely used of all the neonicotinoids, and it also has an affinity for the mammalian central nervous system, which is kind of scary. And it is highly mobile. It moves a lot around in the water, and it can be carried by the runoff from field and to water bodies. And it consists, of course, that it also depends on the pH, and it depends on the temperature, how long it is going to stay in the soil. But like, it is greater than 1,000 days, so it kind of stays in the soil for a long time. And scary enough, a lot of it is produced annually. Actually, 22 tons is produced of imidacloprid annually. So, this is used for like a wide variety of crops. This is just like example of some of the crops it is used for. It's like from cotton to citrus fruit, and like a wide variety of different crops. And actually, more than 140 agricultural crops is used with this chemical. So, how to apply imidacloprid? It can be applied in different ways. As you see here, we just talk about a few of them. It can be sprayed directly on the plant, and as I said before, it can be observed by the leaf in the plant. So just spray it on, and then you can also add it to the soil. Actually, one is very pure into the soil, and then you can take it off of the roots by the Yeah, and talking about other, we're gonna focus on bees as the non-target organisms. We also have other non-target organisms, like for example this study from Netherlands showed pretty well that when you have these insects eating birds, the more concentration of the pesticide you have in the ground, the less bird you have. So it illustrated pretty well. You can see low and high, and also because this chemical is killing the insects, but also the birds who it's toxic to the birds who are eating the seed directly also. So the birds is also eating, and then we can see the earthworms, because of course earthworms are also exposed, and it's a problem because the sperm curve quality decreases when exposed. And also they get, like the bees, really confused, and they cannot really drink their funnels that good anymore. So it would be a problem for the soil quality that being exposed to earthworms. And to look at the aquatic environment, we also have harmful fish that define the change in the gene transcription. And like they have a little problem to swim, probably another. So now this was like exposure. Now I'm gonna tell a little bit about intoxicating. And